In the spring of 2023, roughly 200 people quietly moved into a resort town on Montenegro's Adriatic coast. For 2 months, they lived, worked, and governed themselves together, testing something almost nobody had seriously attempted before: building a functioning society from scratch, using code instead of a constitution. It was called Zuzalu. It was organized by Vitalik Buterin, the billionaire co-founder of Ethereum. And by most accounts, it worked well enough to spark an entire global movement. Within 18 months, more than 20 similar pop-up communities had launched around the world. One project alone has since raised $525 million, with backing from Peter Thiel to build an entire city-state on the Mediterranean coast, designed in part by the architecture firm behind some of the world's most iconic buildings. Another has claimed territory on a disputed strip of land between Croatia and Serbia, declared itself a micronation, and holds 99% of its treasury in Bitcoin. There's a name for what all of this is reaching toward. It's called a network state, a concept formalized by former Coinbase Chief Technology Officer Balaji Srinivasan, who argues that the next great nations won't be founded through revolution or treaty. They'll be founded online, funded by cryptocurrency, and only later, if ever, recognized as sovereign territory by the countries hosting them. As of early 2026, one of these projects alone claims over 150,000 citizens, whose founded companies carry a combined valuation north of $1 trillion. This isn't a fringe internet theory anymore. It's attracting some of the wealthiest, most influential people in technology, and quietly testing the limits of what a country and a border even means in 2026. In this video, we're going inside the network state movement, how it actually started, the real money and real people behind it, the disputed European land already being claimed, and whether any of this stands a real chance of becoming what its founders claim it will. Welcome to WealthVaultX. This is the sovereign city movement, and parts of it are already being built, right now, inside Europe's own borders. To understand any of this, you first need to understand the idea underneath it, which comes from a single, very specific source. In 2022, Balaji Srinivasan, a former general partner at Andreessen Horowitz and the one-time chief technology officer of Coinbase, published a framework he called the network state. The core idea is deceptively simple, laid out in 3 sequential steps. Step 1. Gather like-minded people online around a shared set of values before any physical land is involved at all. Step 2. Develop an internal economy and governance structure, often blockchain-based, and use it to collectively crowdfund or purchase physical property scattered across multiple locations globally. Step 3. Digitally connect those physical footholds into a single, unified identity, and eventually leverage that scale to negotiate formal diplomatic recognition from existing nation-states. It's a genuinely radical inversion of how countries have always been built. Instead of land first and community second, the network state model starts entirely with community and treats land as something to be acquired later, piece by piece, almost like a startup raising funding rounds. As of 2026, it's worth being honest about where these projects actually stand. According to researchers who track the movement closely, not a single network state project has completed all 3 of Srinivasan's steps. Most remain stuck firmly on step 1, building the online community, with genuine physical territory and diplomatic recognition still largely aspirational. But aspirational doesn't mean nothing is happening. Real money, real architecture firms, and real physical gatherings already exist. The gap between the grand vision and the current reality is exactly where this story gets interesting, starting with the project that actually proved the early concept could work at all. Zuzalu remains the clearest, most concrete example of what this movement actually looks like in physical practice. Running from late March to late May of 2023, in Lustica Bay, a resort development on Montenegro's Adriatic coast, the pop-up city gathered roughly 200 residents, Ethereum community members, biotech researchers, longevity scientists, and governance theorists for 2 full months of shared living and collaborative work. It wasn't just a conference with better branding. Zuzalu produced real, functioning technical infrastructure. A small team built Zupass, an identity system using zero-knowledge proofs that let residents prove membership in the community without revealing their specific personal identity, enabling anonymous polling and privacy-preserving access to gated spaces and conversations. Vidal co-organized a genuine longevity biotech conference alongside the broader gathering, covering cellular reprogramming and immune system research. Buterin himself, reflecting afterward, was notably candid about the limitations. He identified the need for a clearer governance roadmap and warned explicitly that many similar pop-up cities risk drifting into what he called long conferences rather than becoming genuine, lasting communities. Even with those caveats, the experiment's influence was immediate and measurable. Within 18 months, more than 20 derivative pop-up villages had launched globally. Edge City, one of the most prominent successors, has professionalized the model into a self-sustaining organization. Its flagship event, Edge Esmeralda, returned to Sonoma County in mid-2026 with over 500 participants, explicitly positioned as a step toward a planned permanent village. Zuzalu proved something genuinely important. Temporary physical gatherings, run on network state principles, could seed lasting digital coordination and real technical infrastructure. What it didn't prove, yet, is that any of this could scale into an actual sovereign nation. That's the much bigger, much better funded bet currently unfolding on the Mediterranean. If Zuzalu was the proof of concept, Praxis is the attempt to build the real thing at genuinely staggering financial scale. Founded by Dryden Brown and Charlie Callanan, Praxis has raised over $525 million, with backing tied to Peter Thiel and conceptual input from Balaji Srinivasan himself. The company has commissioned Zaha Hadid Architects, the firm behind some of the most iconic futuristic buildings on Earth, to design a coastal city intended to house roughly 10,000 residents. As of January 2026, Praxis states it has over 151,000 registered citizens from 80 different countries, whose founded companies carry a combined valuation exceeding $1.1 trillion. The reported waiting list to eventually relocate to the physical city has climbed north of 50,000 people. Here's the detail that reveals how unresolved this project still genuinely is. After years of talking about a Mediterranean location, Praxis's founder traveled to Nuuk, Greenland in 2024, meeting with local politicians about potentially building there instead, going so far as reportedly securing meetings inside Greenland's own parliament. As of 2026, Praxis has not finalized a location on either coastline. The company's own stated ambitions are sweeping. Brown has described the goal not just as a tax-friendly charter city, but potentially something with far deeper independence, what he's called a privatized charter state. Critics have been blunt about the gap between funding and execution. One prominent skeptic pointed out that after years of public statements, Praxis still hasn't specified where, exactly, on 28,600 miles of Mediterranean coastline, its city will actually sit. $500 million raised. A world-renowned architecture firm hired. $1 trillion in citizen-founded company value claimed. And still, as of 2026, no confirmed address. While Praxis chases Mediterranean coastline and Greenlandic ice, one project has already physically planted a flag inside a genuine gap in Europe's own borders. Liberland is a self-declared micronation occupying a small, disputed strip of land between Croatia and Serbia, territory neither country has formally claimed, left over from decades-old border disagreements along the Danube River. Liberland holds roughly 99% of its national treasury in Bitcoin and issues two separate native tokens, one for everyday transactions, another specifically for governance voting. In October 2024, through a blockchain-based election process, Tron founder Justin Sun was elected the nation's prime minister. No country on Earth formally recognizes Liberland's sovereignty, but its existence, genuinely occupying real, physically contested European territory, makes it the closest thing this entire movement has to a project that's already completed step 2 of Srinivasan's original framework, acquiring actual land. The criticism aimed at this entire category of projects is worth taking seriously, not dismissing. Researchers studying the network state movement have pointed out an uncomfortable structural problem. These communities still rely entirely on the nation-states hosting their members for defense, courts, police, roads, and hospitals. Operating purely in digital space, while outsourcing every essential public service to a host government creates what one analysis called a free-rider dynamic, philosophically uncomfortable and practically fragile. There's also the affordability question. Praxis's citizen base skews heavily toward venture capital and high-net-worth individuals. Even attending early pop-up gatherings like Zuzalu typically costs thousands of dollars. Critics argue that without deliberate effort, these network nations risk becoming, in practice, exactly what they claim to transcend: exclusive, gated communities for a narrow tech elite. Whether that criticism sticks may end up determining whether any of these projects ever become more than a very well-funded thought experiment. So what does a half-built city-state and a Bitcoin-funded micronation actually teach us about wealth and power in 2026? 3 lessons. Lesson 1. At the highest level of wealth, dissatisfaction with existing systems increasingly translates into building alternatives from scratch, rather than working to reform what already exists. Whether that instinct is visionary or dangerously naive depends entirely on your perspective, but the willingness to fund it at this scale is itself a genuine signal worth understanding. Lesson 2. Capital can build the appearance of a nation far faster than it can build the substance of one. Praxis has assembled hundreds of millions of dollars, a world-class architect, and over 150,000 registered citizens, and still hasn't solved the most basic question any actual country answers on day one. Where exactly is it? Lesson 3. The gaps in existing sovereignty are smaller than they look, but they're not zero. Liberland exists specifically because of an unresolved border dispute nobody else wanted to claim. That's not a replicable strategy, but it proves that even in a world where every square mile is theoretically accounted for, genuine cracks in sovereignty still exist for anyone patient and unconventional enough to notice them. Most of these projects will likely never become the sovereign nations their founders publicly describe. But the money, the architecture, and the citizen registrations already committed tell you something real about how a specific class of the ultra-wealthy is now thinking about the next several decades, not just where to live, but under whose rules entirely. Watching where that experiment goes next may say more about the future of wealth and power than almost anything else happening in 2026. If this gave you a new look inside how the ultra-wealthy are thinking about the future, subscribe to WealthVaultX. We go inside the vault every week. One question before you go. Is this genuine innovation or a very expensive fantasy? Tell us below. This was WealthVaultX.